This week's story from Reddit is called Old Roy and Young Ben, and it's a spine-tingling tale. So let's get into it. You're listening to Deadtime Stories with your host, me, Ryan Okray. Deadtime Stories, it's your hotspot for scary stories, reviews, and a bit of personality. Welcome to the first episode of Deadtime Stories. My name is Ryan Okray. I'm your host, and I'll be bringing you my personal commentary and opinions week to week. Without further ado, let's begin. Now, if you don't want a spoiler and would like to read the story on your own, then skip to... Our story is set around a farmhouse in which the boy, Ben, and his parents live. His parents have helpers on their farm, and it seems all is well. One of these helpers is named Roy. In the story, Ben's parents warn him of Roy, never to speak to him. But rebellious teenager Ben opts out of listening to his parents and decides to find a bit about old Roy. Much to Ben's dismay, Roy isn't much of a talker. Instead, when old Roy opens his mouth, nothing remotely human comes out. Screeching metal and 1,000 human cries escape old Roy's twisted mouth. Ben, frozen, watches as Roy slowly turns away from him and back to his work. Later that night, Ben confronts his parents about Roy. Ben's parents immediately begin to panic and pray. "O Roy, have mercy on us, for we are sinners. We have erred in our ways, and seek to placate you. Forgive our son, for he knows not what he does. He means no harm by his careless actions, and we stand ready to make an offering to atone for our transgressions. We only ask that you make your will known and give us a sign of what sacrifice you would insist upon. O Roy, ageless and deathless one, we beseech you to allow us this indulgence, even though we are but humble servants and do not deserve your mercy." Just then, just as they are finished praying to whatever god could save them from the horror of old Roy's voice, there he is, Roy, behind Ben. Ben's parents begin to quiver and shake and plead with Roy not to take Ben. Obviously, Ben did not know what old Roy was. Roy begins to open his mouth. The sound again of 1,000 tortured souls crying out and now laughing at the same time is heard. But now, one word cuts through the rest. Displeasure. Roy repeats this word. Gradually, it turns to appeased, as Ben's parents beg and plead with Roy to take them and not the boy. But now, Ben's parents are no longer pleading. They are emotionless, such as Roy. They and Roy are one and the same now. As Roy leaves, Ben attempts to make the human connection with his parents, but his parents are no more. And as Ben tries harder and harder to make a connection, his parents now begin to morph and contort and screech such as old Roy does, and they emit these 3 words: displeasure, disobedient, disrespectful. Ben has been a bad son, and they are making him well aware of it now. Ben's life now has turned against him. For months, Ben continues to fend for himself, living life day by day. He spends his time where he believes his parents will not bother him. His room. A teenage boy's last safe haven. The fortress of all solitude. The bedroom. But oh, my friends, no, not this time. Not this time will a boy be safe from his parents. Displeasure. Ben awakes to his parents standing over him in bed. Ben tries to scream, but instead feels his voice become one with 1,000 other voices grinding and screeching through the mouths of old Roy, his parents, and now himself. Welcome to those of you who chose to skip my summary in light of being able to read the story by yourself. That's fine. I'm not mad. Hurt, maybe. But no, that's fine. Let's just get this over with. It's time for a rating. On a scale of 1 to 5, here we go. For length, I'll be giving this story a 2. This story is not the shortest story I've seen, yet it does have a fairly short length to it. And there definitely could have been more depth in the story. Readability, 3, as per usual. The story does not warrant you to have, crazy amounts of English learning. You don't need to be, an English major to read this story. It's a fairly easy read, but, a working knowledge of English would help. And finally, the spooky factor. Now, at first read, this story gave me the absolute willies. So if you like the willies, give the story a read, turn the lights down, and curl up with your phone or laptop. And as always, there will be a link to the story at the bottom of this short. You know what? Something else you can curl up is with this podcast. Keep yourself updated on the spookiest stories by subscribing to my RSS feed. Hey, this has been Deadtime Stories. Thank you for dialing in with me tonight. Stay alert out there, my friends, and happy Halloween.